You went into your bye week with your first ever win as the head coach of Northern Colorado on the road against a ranked opponent. Now that you've had a little bit of time for it to sink in, how does it feel?
Well, it felt a lot better in the hours right after it. We've moved on now. We've got our next opponent, and obviously, a victory at Weber State doesn't mean anything for our next game, which is against a very tough Montana team. But I think that our bye week preparation has been good. I think that our players have got a monkey off their back. I know I feel that as well. And now we can start talking about this season instead of, some losses that stretch back 2 seasons.
What have been some of the focuses at practice this week?
Well, we wanted to get 2 solid days of practice in and then 2 walkthroughs. We wanted to get some good lifts in, but also give the guys some days off. And so they've got a total of 4 days off. We're just trying to strike that balance. I think our team right now has some momentum. It's the first time that they've experienced a win together. And so we don't want to completely step away. We've got a lot fundamentally and tactically to work on. So we've tried to take a balanced approach to recovery, rest, but also preparation.
How do you find that balance between coming off a win over a ranked opponent and then going into the bye week and making sure your players stay mentally ready for this tough matchup with Montana?
Well, I think you said, our players, they understand what Montana represents, and they understand that we're facing a really good team. They're experienced enough in football to know that teams match up differently, and so beating Weber State because they beat Montana doesn't mean that we're going to beat Montana. We've got, I'm sure we have the full focus of University of Montana. Our players understand that the championships, the ability to go to playoffs, the ability to earn respect in this conference always goes through the Montana schools. I think it's a matchup that they're pretty naturally excited about. I haven't had to do a lot of preaching about why this game is important and why it's important to move on from Weber State.
I know you want to move on from Weber State. However, I do have to address your defense had 5 turnovers in that matchup, 4 fumbles, 1 interception. How do you have your defense build on that going into a high-powered offense like Montana's?
We didn't do anything a lot different against Weber State to cause those turnovers. We've been trying to get to the football. We've been trying to put our face on the football. I think there's always a part of every takeaway that there's just, some offensive a lack of technique going on. And so we can't count on Montana to do that. We just want to kind of keep doing what we're doing. There are always, I think, an element of fortune in fumbles caused and fumbles recovered. So we don't want to rely on that. It was a big difference in the game against Weber State. Counting on that against Montana is probably a foolhardy idea.
Your defense is going to have a busy day containing that high-powered Montana offense. Eli Gilman on the ground, Junior Bergen through the air, Keelan White. What's the best approach to try to contain that attack and limit big plays either through the air or on the ground?
For us, it starts up front. We've got to win up front with the defensive line. And those are the guys that don't get a lot of the attention offensively and defensively. But I think in order to play well and contain great skill players, and you mentioned some of those guys that Montana has, also their quarterback's been playing really clean football, excellent football. And, to have any chance to match up against those guys, we got to first match up front. We got to hold our gaps. We got to get pressure. We got to get push and on the line of scrimmage and make the job easier for our linebackers and secondary players.